Hello, 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 out there in podcast land. You have reached Johnny Has the Keys, where we talk about horror movies and science fiction movies and those key elements that help lift them above the average fare and into the stratosphere. Look at that. I've got a whole spiel going. I've been doing this for a while, haven't I? I'm here with my good friend David Horton. Hello, David.
Hello, Tim.
What's been going on in the world of Mr. Horton?
What has been going on? I have a lot of theater going on. That was basically it. We did. I worked with a local theater group, and we did a version of The Cold Equations, Goodwin's story from about 1942, 43, I think. Really cool science fiction story. We turned it into, we took it from like 3 different versions of radio plays that had been done, and did it as a pseudo live Zoom call sort of thing, live stream, and it was pretty well watched, and I think came off pretty good. It was fun doing a science fiction live action thing. So,
wow, that is cool.
Yeah, that's been my basic science world, and then prepping for a show this fall that is called Any Night, which is a psychological horror thriller play. So that should be fun and more in your genre.
And this is going to be another internet production?
Don't know. Right now they're planning kind of for both. We're kind of planning for let's go ahead and prep it and have it stage worthy. But if we end up having to just, shoot that with a couple of cameras then and live stream it, then we'll do that.
Now,
nobody knows what's happening.
And this is a Theater Guild production.
Yep.
And are you still AD there, or is Joe? Or are you kind of doing a dual thing, or?
No, there's no real AD right now. They're kind of looking for one, looking around, that sort of thing. I'm basically their creative consultant, so I'm pitching them new ideas and throwing stuff at them, and then I direct maybe usually direct one show a season.
Well,
so this is
my
need
to do that,
show this
year. Have a merry-go-round.
Yeah, basically. I mean, that's kind of what they're doing now, is letting those people who are interested, who want to do it. And now, they're getting a lot more interested, people who are kind of more interested in the live streaming aspect of it than actual, theater aspect of it. So that's kind of cool too.
It is kind of cool. And I mean, who knows when the next pandemic will hit?
Oh, I know. Bubonic murder hornets or whatever, who knows? Crazy. What about you? What have you been doing?
Well, this is kind of genre related. Well, first of all, I've been doing all kinds of stuff. As far as, writing and watching television.
Yeah.
But instead of talking about a movie or a show today, I just wanted to point out that a few weeks back we lost a somewhat controversial director in Joel Schumacher, who died. I'm sure you probably heard about this. A lot of people like Joel Schumacher movies. A lot of people don't. I'm one of those that go in and out. There's some I do like and some I loathe. But I have a fond nostalgia for St. Elmo's Fire, and that is a movie that he directed back in the 80s.
Yeah.
He was an out gay director. I'm sure that he had his battles back then with some of that stuff. But he is also responsible for us having a lot of actors now that are Academy Award nominated actors, including, wow, my phone is like buzzing really loudly. Amber Alert. Julia Roberts immediately comes to mind. He was putting her in front of the camera way back then. Kiefer Sutherland was another one. But he's also known for taking, Tim Burton's Batman, which was this huge comeback of a property, and totally taking it back into camp world with like the original series from the 60s. I mean, it was pretty bad what he did to that. So
he gave the bat suit nipples. He gave the bat suit nipples.
He did. He also brought, Jim Carrey and Arnold Schwarzenegger into it, and I was like,
oh my God,
two people I'm not big fans of. Are there any movies that you recall of his that you liked or totally loathed?
I believe he did Lost Boys.
He did.
And although I didn't like certain elements of it, I did like that movie, and I liked the marketing of it, and I thought it was pretty cool. And he did one that I liked that I think they even remade it last year called Flatliners.
That's
which was
the one
cool
I was
concept.
talking about with Julia Roberts and Kiefer Sutherland.
And I liked
or not Kiefer Sutherland,
Flatliners.
Jason Patrick, I think, was in it.
Yeah, Jason Patrick was in that one.
Yeah.
No, wasn't Kevin Bacon in that one?
He may have been.
I think Kevin Bacon was in that one too.
I should just pull it up. But
I think Kevin Bacon was in that one too. But yeah, he
no,
did
actually,
have
it was Kevin Bacon and Kiefer Sutherland were in.
Okay.
It. Yeah, they were.
Yeah, because Kevin was like we should not do this, and Kiefer was like oh yeah, we should. Kill me now.
It's got Oliver Platt and William Baldwin as well. So
okay,
there's a lot of folks in that one. He liked casting pretty people, but there's nothing wrong with that.
He did. The courtroom drama one.
He did A Time to Kill.
Yeah, yeah. And McConaughey's actually pretty good in that one.
I think that's a pretty good movie too.
And he did the film version of the musical Phantom, and it's actually not a bad translation.
It's not because I've never seen it. Is that the one with Antonio?
Yes.
Okay, it figures because he's pretty too. So anyway, I thought it bared mentioning. I mean, he was around for a long time, and he worked with a lot of folks. And like I said, he was somewhat controversial. And there goes my phone buzzing again. Stop.
Yeah, I think he had a lot of he had some pretty good clout as far as Hollywood goes and telling stories and the movies he got made. And I do think he was his own visionary, which is fine. Although, the Schwarzenegger, Jim Carrey, Batman nipples, that kind of weird.
Well, I think a lot of folks that were Batman fans loved seeing Batman brought back in a more serious manner, and then he just totally pooped on that and took it right back into the 60s when it was stupid and funny. Yeah.
Yeah, Poison Ivy and everything green and green and purple.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So anyway,
well, speaking of camp and not the 60s, but camp, we are doing a science fiction movie this week.
We are.
And we're actually doing an older one, and I do think it probably deserves status as a classic just for certain unique elements to it, but we are going to explore 1955's This Island Earth. It's directed by Joseph Newman, had quite a few writers, I think 4 altogether. And it's an odd movie in that I think it structurally has some issues, but underneath it is some really cool concepts. And it kind of gets grouped a lot with all of those mid-50s movies before the Bug-Eyed Monsters came. So like it came from outer space and When Worlds Collide and Earth versus the Flying Saucers. All of that era right there was where this fits in. Brief synopsis for those who haven't seen it. For those of you who haven't seen it, you should know that we spoil everything. So go watch it now and then come back and listen or watch us talk about it. But it's basically the story of an electric engineer named Meacham, Cal Meacham, who
That's a good name.
Has been experimenting with some, very, and he has the voice to back
Are you
it
a
up.
baseball pitcher? No, that's Cal Ripken.
he has been working with nuclear energy and trying to figure out how to power electronics with nuclear energy. So this is cutting edge in 55 sort of thing. He receives this mysterious component. Then he receives a mysterious catalog that says, hey, build me. So he kind of builds this thing that ends up being called an interocitor and communicates with this strange gentleman named Exeter, who invites him to come and join this collaborative scientific group of scientists who are working on a project. So it's all covert and secret and weird. And he ends up going and meeting a woman that he used to know, and also hearing about some other scientists that he knows from reputation. Basically, it turns out that these are Exeter and his people are aliens, and they're actually
you couldn't
looking.
tell from the high foreheads and the different colored, or the white
couldn't
hair.
tell.
And
They all had white hair. They were Asians, obviously. They were weird Swedes.
They looked like tall Oompa Loompas.
They were Oompa Loompas. I was just about to say that. But they are in a war. Their home planet is in a war with another planet. They're losing, and they're looking for Earth scientists to help them. What did you think of this movie?
I think you summed it up rather well, as far as there are elements in it that are grand and fascinating, but the writing is not there, and the movie plays a little boring until they get in the spaceship and go to the planet. I was going to mention the writers, but there was something else I was going to mention first. It's a B movie. That's what I would call it. It's a B movie for sure. I wouldn't. I mean, you could classify it as a classic B movie, I guess, but there's no really memorable actors in it that I can recall. I mean, can you?
No, I mean, not really.
Jeff Morrow.
Jeff Morrow, who plays Exeter, went on to do a lot of television and stuff.
Right,
And
they
saw
all
a lot
were
of
TV
westerns.
people.
But yeah, none of them. Well, and the professor from Gilligan's Island.
Okay, well,
come
that's
on.
TV again, though.
He had 3 whole scenes.
Mm-hmm. And then he got annihilated.
But how do you? Well, so as a B movie, how would you classify this in relationship to like Earth versus the Flying Saucer, or When Worlds Collide, or those same kind of
You're going to have to pick one that I
same
remember,
time?
because I can't remember either one of those.
Okay. Earth versus the Flying Saucers.
Well, for instance, I mean, I consider Creature from the Black Lagoon a classic, but I consider the sequel, The Creature Walks Among Us, more of a B movie. It's not classic
Okay, I can see that. Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? And coincidentally enough, Cal Meacham was in. Not Cal Meacham. Rex Reason, that played Cal Meacham, was in Creature Walks Among Us. That's the only one of the few films that this cast has done. Except for the guy that played Brack. He was in a lot too. Anyway, so back to the subject. Yeah, that's what I mean by B movie. It's like the second feature maybe at a drive-in.
Yeah, it's very slow paced. The director needed a lot of work. I think the screenplay is like 3 rewrites away from being where it should be.
Totally agree.
I think, but the concept of a planet covertly seeking help from Earth because they're in this horrible war that's decimating their planet was a neat idea. The Metaluna was a really cool idea that they could have actually interjected earlier and kept some story there.
Right.
Would have worked.
And the whole fact that there's the good Metaluna and the bad Metaluna that's actually considering, invading Earth actually.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah, it's like that was like a twist to me. Mm-hmm. So they finally get there, and they're almost convinced that wow, this looks awful. We probably should help them, until the big monitor, governor, huge power broker of Metaluna says, "Oh yeah, we're getting Emperor." Yeah,
like from Star Wars. Yeah,
yeah, he's going to invade Earth and take over Earth since their planet was dying. It's like, what? That's a big twist.
Yeah. And I will say, I loved all the special effects, man. I have never seen so many explosions in a movie. I don't think, man.
Oh, yeah.
Everything was blowing up.
Blowing up everywhere. And I love the fact that the spaceship doesn't land. The spaceship comes in, and then the little elevator goes,
yeah, and you see them
down,
come out at the bottom. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, using a lot of good mat work, but I also read technically that the special effects for this took them like over a year because they used real models, and they used, at that time it was 55, so no computers, of course. Mm-hmm. But but they do have some issues. Certain, sometimes you see the wires on the comets who are coming in, but.
Some of the logic, like, that's a planet that was formerly a comet, and that planet becomes a sun. And I was like, what?
Yeah. No, not really.
It doesn't work that way.
I don't think that means what you think it means. No. Agreed. I do, but and I thought of you as soon as I saw it again because, okay, let's take a half step back.
Okay.
The music is terrible in this. It is so overwrought and so hugely over dramatic. Even from the credits, it doesn't stop. But they cut to that first shot of the Metaluna, and it like goes dun dun dun, and I'm like, okay, we could have appreciated the costume a lot more if you hadn't done that stupid ass music. But I love the Metalunan's design, the little claw hands and the way they're longer than human. I thought the whole design of
wait
the
a minute. Are those aren't the Metalunans, are they? I thought the Metalunans were the white-haired people.
I think the Metalunan is technically the monster.
I thought those were just mutants.
Oh, that's right. He called them mutants.
Yeah.
It's a mutant.
Exactly.
Yes.
He said they're mutants. But the Metalunans is the race that's trying to come to Earth. I think.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yes. They're the white-haired guys, the guys from Norway.
The tall
Oompa Loompas.
Yes.
Tall Oompa Loompas. And then the mutant is the one with the pinchers and the big brain, and the big eyes.
Yeah. And that, I mean, I get it. They're but the mutants were created by the Metalunans. We never see who it is bombing the Metalunans, do we?
No, we never see and I think they're Zagon, I think is the name of the planet that they're with. I think it's in my notes. I'll look it up and see. I just think it's kind of funny that they just threw that monster in at the end to try to jazz things up. Yeah, again, bad writing, I think, overall. And it would have been interesting if maybe, Cal had run into one of the mutants on Earth, since they were supposedly slaves that worked for the Metalunans, kind of thing. It would have been interesting if he had seen one there, and that was the big revelation of, oh my God, they're alien kind of thing, rather than give them high foreheads and weird haircuts. You know what I mean? Yeah. Make the Metalunans look human, and then have it be, he's kind of suspecting because of the technology, but then when he sees the mutant, he like goes, oh, yeah, these are aliens.
Mutant.
Got it. He said mutant like 3 times. It wasn't mutant. It wasn't mutant. It was a he is a mutant.
But it's a mute ant.
Right. Well, yes.
It can't hear.
He did say it was an insect. He goes, very much like the insects on your planet.
Right.
Exeter is like, and I tried to think of the key, but there's a key to Exeter. I think it was either on Fred Flintstone or The Simpsons or somebody that had the alien overlord, and his name was Exeter. And he talked like Exeter does about, we're very happy to see you here. Well, come in, please. Would you, Mr. Meacham? I'd like to help you with it. He's got that very suave. No, Marvin the Martian was the Rubendium Q space modulator. That was that guy. But no, it was, and I can't. Oh dear, I can't remember what cartoon it was, but the Overlord was Exeter, and it reminded me of that as soon as I heard his name.
Exit stage left.
Exit stage left. Yes,
he's an Exeter.
Yes, he is an Exeter. Yes.
Oh, where's Wendell? We need someone that's a pun expert.
Rex Reason, who plays Cal.
Correct.
Has the voice you hear from the very beginning. I mean, I can't even do it. It is so deep and resonant. And I wondered if he used that later on. I don't know if he, because I didn't get much from researching him as far as performance goes, but I wonder if he did voiceover work or narration work.
All
or
I
anything
see
like
is
that.
B movies and TV, including The Creature Walks Among Us. That's what my note says. Before
Right.
we get into the cast, let's talk just a bit about the writers.
Okay.
Raymond F. Jones apparently wrote this story. He was a pulp author. He did very little TV, and he was also a Mormon, which I found kind of interesting. And Franklin Cohen and George Callahan, did the screenplay, and they were both known for B movies, and Callahan for television in particular. The one note I had about Franklin Cohen, though, is that he did the rewrites for Touch of Evil, which is a really cool
Orson Welles
B movie, I would say, and Black Gun with Jim Brown.
Well, I would not call it a B movie. I mean, Touch of Evil is like Orson Welles.
It is Orson
showing
Welles.
showing that he could do his stuff again, and nobody listens to him. But I didn't know that he did the rewrites for that. That's cool.
Yeah, he did.
That's a good cred.
And I saw Black Gun, and I just had to write it down because it's a blaxploitation film that just looked. The poster was hilarious, and it's about Big Jim Brown.
Big Jim Brown.
So, anyway, that's what the writers were known for. Not too terribly much. The only other background that I have, it was budgeted at $800,000, and it was originally known as Bloodlust in Outer Space.
What?
That was the original, or it says also known as Bloodlust in Outer Space.
Oh my gosh!
So it was either released under that title too, or it was an original title they scrapped. It doesn't really say. 86 minutes.
Interesting.
Technicolor.
Yeah, I mean, the more you talk about it, the more I could see that this seemed like a very B movie. Again, like one of those, okay, here's a script, let's get it done. You know, like Roger Corman before Roger Corman.
Exactly.
You know, let's get it done.
I mean, honestly, I watched Vampires, what was that? Planet of the Vampires not long ago. I talked about it briefly in one of our podcasts, and I actually enjoyed that movie better. It was a little, it was hokey too, but it was a little more atmospheric to me than this film. It's Mario Bava, and it's got great costuming and sets, but not the best of movies. I do have one other note I just found. Universal was dissatisfied with some of Newman's work on the film, and they brought Jack Arnold in to reshoot Metaluna scenes.
Oh, maybe that's why those are better.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
He did the original Creature from the Black Lagoon, as well as Tarantula, It Came from Outer Space, and The Incredible Shrinking Man. And I like most of those films.
All of those.
Yeah.
All of those
I can't remember.
I
It
like
Came
Jack
from Outer
Arnold.
Space, but I like the other ones for sure.
Well, and that's where the real problem is from the structure and the story. I mean, if they had taken the first half hour and reworked it and pitched it up, I mean, a faster pace, everything else, and we don't need to see them build this entire Interrossiter thing. We don't need, I mean, there wasn't enough atmosphere, like you said, or intrigue to make that compelling.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, and and I think it's kind of weird that it was almost like he won a contest, because he put it together. Yeah. It's like, I got this contest entry in a cereal box, and I get to go to another planet.
Well, it's okay. So now you gave me a key that's like Ex Machina. You get to go to see the special guy.
Right.
Yeah, but like in it's just his pacing. Like the whole thing with, my jet is about to crash. That sequence went on forever. And we got it after the second little beat of it.
Right.
And the same thing with putting the Interrossiter, the montage of putting the whole thing together. We didn't need that. And then the whole plane ride to Georgia, which is, okay, again, I had to ask you this. Exeter's secret base is in Georgia? Where did that come from?
Don't know.
From
I don't know.
But it took them all night too to get from California to Georgia. Really? So it was just some weird timing stuff that we didn't need.
How fast did planes go back then?
They went fast, buddy.
Oh, okay.
They were nuclear.
And I just thought that one scene where they go into the house and you see one of those Metalunans cross and go into an elevator. First, I was like, "There's an elevator in this house." I thought that was the first thing. I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
But then I saw that guy get in the elevator. I was like, "He's not human. He's not human."
Yeah.
I wanted to shout it. Look,
secret underground lair.
He's got a high forehead, a high hairline. It's white, and his skin's a little red. He's not human.
Yeah, and bad storytelling. We had to have the professor from Gilligan Island say, "Look, I drew this sketch. Notice their foreheads." It's like, yeah, duh. I noticed their foreheads when I was back in my lab looking at his television.
Right.
You know.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. There are some definite writing issues with the movie.
Well, and I'm not opposed to us choosing it at all, because I think sometimes when movies are not good, they make for better conversation. And there are definitely some elements of this film that are just crazy. I mean, I've never seen so many explosions. I was like, wow. I mean, it was interesting to watch, but I was like, they really want you to get that this planet is being bombed by other aliens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You've got to see the first three lines of my notes are, "Hey, we've got a hero who flies jets."
Yeah.
That makes him like ultra cool. The next one is, "Ooh, yes, the dreaded manufacturing montage." And my third note is, "Okay, where's the 50s chick? It's been like half an hour. The 50s chick should have been here by now."
She's coming, and she's got pointy boobs, and she looks like Judy Garland.
She does. I was going, okay, I don't know if I would have cast her, but you know.
She screams great, though. I think she got cast because of the screams. When she's in the tube at the end and the big brain monster's coming for her. She's a great screamer.
And yeah, and I thought that sequence there was pretty cool. The way they, first of all, set it all up that, you know, you had to go through this transformation, so we're going to magnetize your hands to this, which won't let you let go. Yeah, and they made a point of that. And then the big tube comes down. You kind of pseudo pass out, but then it takes a while for the tube to come up and the magnets to release. And that gives it this time frame for when the mutant is coming up. You're going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Very suspenseful. I liked that sequence a lot.
Right. So was it the time for those tubes to go up? Because I was like, how is she getting out?
Yes, because, you know, his was right after hers because they went in that order.
In order, okay. Because I was like wondering why that was happening. Okay. And then the monster.
Well, I wonder why. Yeah, and I wonder why a monster of that size with those pinchers couldn't kill her like almost instantly. Mm-hmm. You know, it chased her and grabbed her, and then she got away, and then it grabbed her again and knocked her off the little pedestal.
It pretty much did kill Exeter. I mean, because he's like mortally wounded on his ship as they leave and go back to Earth, and then his ship crashes into the ocean. And I was like, oh man, we got to go find that because there's stuff on that
I know.
we need.
And you know what he did in the ocean? He blew up too. Did you see that?
Yeah,
I mean, the whole thing catches. Yeah. Yeah, that was the other. Okay, we're talking about science. It shows them, and they look at the screen, and you can see the little Earth going and going away. And she goes, "Look, it's Earth." You have to say that. Yeah, we knew. You could see the United States right there. But anyway, then like a few minutes later, it starts getting hot, and they talk about, yes, we're entering the thermal barrier. It's going to be uncomfortable for a while. And you go, oh, okay, cool. Thermal barrier, where is that? And then you hear this voiceover go, about to exit Earth's orbit. I went, dude, you were out of Earth's orbit like half an hour ago. You're past Mars now, for God's sake.
Oh, yeah.
It made no sense. Sense.
I will point out, though, that shot of Earth was the one they used later for the Universal logo. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, they used the same model that they made for that. Yeah, I'd known that. I didn't get to look it up, but it would be something to look up. The house, the Georgian house of Exeter that has
the elevator.
The exterior looks like the same house from Tarantula. And I think they used the same house, and that might have been interesting, especially if Jack Arnold was associated.
Maybe so.
Even though he did them,
I can't remember exactly what it looked like, but my mind tells me it was kind of like an antebellum looking. Was
yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was a 2-story with columns.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
And an elevator.
What else is in my notes? I've got, and an elevator. And they play Mozart.
Oh, and he has go be alone with himself or whatever that line was.
Yeah. After I hear Mozart, I have to be alone with myself.
Yeah, that was
sure
hilarious.
You do. Yeah.
I've got a few notes about cast if you want to do cast.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
I mean, honestly, I can literally go down like most of them and just say B movies and TV, B movies and TV. Jeff Morrow, Dr. Ruth Adams, or Judy Garland lookalike, was played by Faith Domergue. I don't know how you say that.
That's exactly how you say it.
B movies and TV. Cal Meacham was played by Rex Reason. I mentioned that he was in The Creature Walks Among Us. Brack, played by Lance Fuller, happened to do a few other things besides B movies and TV. He was in God's Little Acre. He was in The Longest Yard. He was in The Cattle Queen of Montana with Barbara Stanwyck. He was in The Andromeda Strain, but I think it was a very small part because I don't remember him. And he was in a movie that I had to write down just because I love the title, Scream, Evelyn, Scream.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
I'd say that was somewhat exploitation, probably.
Right, I would say so too. Dr. Steve Carlson was played by Russell Johnson, known as the Professor on Gilligan's Island, but also
Darn right he was.
The Attack of the Crab Monsters.
No, I wouldn't say also. No, not also.
And then lastly, I had the Monitor, played by Douglas Johnson, who was in Diary of Anne Frank and Shane, and those are pretty good.
And
movies.
he has a great key before that.
Oh yeah,
he was in The Thing.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he was the reporter guy in The Thing.
Look
that
to
was
the skies.
Monitor.
No, that was the commander at the end. Wasn't it?
No, that was him at the end.
Okay.
He actually said, he was on the radio talking. His name was like Ned or something or whatever. But yeah, he was the reporter from The Thing from another.
This is Ned reporting. Look to the skies.
Look to the skies. You'll see this island Earth. Go away from it.
And why is it an island?
I don't know what the title significance is. I actually have that in my notes of I wish I knew what that meant.
Is it because they're trying to escape to a paradise? That's a stretch.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't get it at all.
Okay.
I don't know where that came from.
Believe it or not, it did win an award
for
best sound editing in a feature film from the Motion Picture Sound Editor Awards.
Well, yeah, there were only 2 that year that had sound. So yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
I like a lot of the design elements. I like the design element of the bridge. It was a different kind of look for a bridge of a spaceship.
Yeah, it had like
it was
a light
huge. It was big.
IKEA in there.
Yeah. And that was evidently some kind of charting thing they used because Monitor had one too on the planet. And I like the chairs that you actually stood up, sort of laid in, kind of reclined in.
Yeah, but it had a little
kind of
ledge
thing.
that looked like it would creep up your butt.
It might, but maybe they like that. They're Metalunans. Okay. You never know.
Yeah, maybe their physiology is a little different.
The tubes and the transformation thing. I mean, a big key for me from that was Forbidden Planet. The whole we have to do this and prepare to come in and out of warp. Except they explained that they had to have it for the different atmospheric pressure of Metaluna. I like the UFO design. I mean, the flying saucer design was really cool.
It looked more like
kind
a
of
submarine.
Teardrop. Yeah, that kind of teardrop submarine-y kind of design to it. The Metalunans design I liked a lot.
Oompa Loompas.
the mutant, design I liked a lot. Not the Oompa Loompas.
Yeah, the mutant was great, and that's what sold that film because they had that thing on every poster.
I'm sure.
You know, with some
I mean, it was kind of like
screaming.
You know, yeah, that was a big kind of key for me. Was it was very trying to be the day the earth stood still sort of thing in all the poster design. Where, you know, the poster didn't tell you anything of what happened in the movie. Because the poster for
Gort,
The Day the Earth Stood Still was Gort, you know, carrying her and everything and all that. It seemed like this was B-movie writers trying to write an intellectual script and not doing well at it. You know what I mean? They were trying to deal with some bigger concepts, but they just didn't know how to tell the story.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how to phrase it, but it was like they had the ideas, but not the chops for screenplay. Yeah.
It was like 3 rewrites away, like I said. I think it needed some development, some trimming here, some adding there.
They could have, and it was already a short movie, so they could have, but I mean, it should have been punched up a little bit. And, you know, to me, Forbidden Planet is miles ahead of this.
Well, now you've got me thinking because, well, yeah, Forbidden Planet is, yes.
I think
definitely.
If you were going to put them both on a B-movie scale, then Forbidden Planet's at the top and this is at the bottom. You know what I mean?
No, Forbidden Planet is not a B-movie.
That's what I was going to say. I don't really classify it as a B-movie. I would classify it as a classic. I would classify This Island Earth as a B-movie.
But, you know, I've been listening to this podcast, you know, Buffy and the Art of Story, and it's all about how craft a story and everything else. You know, I've always been fascinated with that anyway. It's interesting. Think about it this way. So Cal is the protagonist, actually, but there is no antagonist. It's a story. There's no villain in this story. And so who do we have to root for or against kind of thing? You know what I mean? Maybe they should have had a Zagon, like, try to get Cal first. And, you know, maybe they're also on Earth trying to figure stuff out or something. You know what I mean? There's no villain in the piece. They kind of make Exeter a villain when he's shooting at them as they try to escape.
Oh, I thought that was funny how all of a sudden, you know, they were fighting, even though they were friends.
Right.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they're friends. Then they make the Monitor a villain because he wants to invade Earth. But then Exeter's a friend who saves them. I mean, so it's very convoluted storytelling wise. It's like they didn't have the recording on. You know what I mean?
Thank you, people of Earth. We are now joining you with video.
With video. Yeah, it's just I don't know.
I mean,
it's a
if
very
it had more
strange
money, instead of all the explosions, you could have seen troops invading the planet.
Yeah.
And trying, you know, having some conflict there. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to rewrite this. I have zero interest in trying to deliver this as a more palatable script.
But if the mutants were zombies, you might like it. If they were eating the flesh of humans, that's why they're here. Mars needs women or whatever. They're here to take our precious bodily fluids or whatever.
Yeah.
You might have liked it then.
Maybe.
Okay, what about keys? Let's do keys. You got any keys? You don't have?
Yeah, no, I have them, but I'm sitting here thinking how we're going to rescue this with only half the video. That's okay. You're asking about keys or trivia or both?
I don't care. Trivia. Do trivia.
Okay. Well, I already mentioned that the guy said the meal was excellent, but after this marvelous music, I need to be alone with myself for a while.
Yeah.
That to me was one of the funniest things about this movie.
You very.
I told you about the Earth Miniature in the summer of 1960. It was shown as a double bill with Forbidden Planet. It was also reissued in 64. So that was interesting to me. The mutant costume originally had legs that matched the upper body, and you could see these legs in the posters.
Okay.
But they had so much trouble making the legs work that they were forced to put on a pair of trousers so that you just don't see them. Because obviously it's a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
As far as keys, we might have mentioned this back earlier on a podcast prior with E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Apparently, this movie is on the television in the background.
It is. Yeah. It's the whole scene where the first tractor beam starts picking them up, which again, I think this is the first reference to a tractor beam. That's a key for me.
Okay.
But I know that in Earth versus the Flying Saucer, they have beams that come from the ship, but I don't think they pick stuff up. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a key for me for this one. You just made me look at the poster, and the poster says 2.5 years in the making. I'm like, really?
Yeah. Yeah, the script was not 2.5 weeks.
No. 2.5 hours. We got that done over the weekend.
This I found interesting. I did not know this, but the wooden crates used to deliver the interocitor parts was reused in the movie Imitation of Life with Troy Donahue. It's when he and the girl are slumping on a crate in an alley. You can see the word Ryberg Electronics stenciled on the top of the crates.
Well, okay then.
That's fascinating to me. And I don't know if it's the Douglas Sirk version. I think it is because it's 1959. That would make sense. And I'm a Douglas Sirk fan for all of you non-genre folks out there.
They kept those boxes for 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
put them in the warehouse, guys.
Yeah.
Move them over there near that Ark of the Covenant.
And then the only other key I have is, obviously there's sci-fi keys out there with other B movies, but this one, there's a shock rock group called GWAR, GWAR, and their 4th album is called This Toilet Earth.
Oh. Well, that would be
somewhat of an homage to this film.
Yes. I have a couple of keys. One is the Metalunans, the tall Oompa Loompas, look like
Willy Wonka.
They look like Jerry Anderson puppets, almost like Thunderbird puppets, because they also their makeup is done really shiny, almost. And the way the foreheads are and everything else. I mean, I could see them on the little let's go to the ship, kind of thing.
And let me stop you. Was there a scene in the version that you watched where the lighting changed and everybody was purple?
Yes, when they're on Metaluna.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if it was my version or what. I was like, this looks weird.
And it's only in the control room scene.
Yes.
And the scenes in the hallway and everything else.
Everything else is fine.
Okay, wait. When they're only with Exeter, with the monitor, do they turn purple?
I think the humans turn purple too, if I'm not mistaken.
They did.
It was
everybody
like
in the room was
developing
purple.
Or something.
Or that's supposed to be the conversion that they'll turn purple, but then why didn't it happen on the ship or whatever? I don't know. But anyway, I have a key. They look like Jerry Anderson puppets, and then I have a weird kind of odd key. The girl in it, her last name, which you pronounce correctly, is Domergue, right? And evidently, this is just saying where his mind is. But in Quentin Tarantino's next to last movie, The Hateful Eight, it's a Western,
right?
And the girl that they are transporting, who's the head of the notorious gang, her last name is Domergue, and they say it like 15 times in the movie. He goes, "You just sit back there and shut the fuck up, Domergue." And it's just, as soon as I saw her in the credits, I went, "Oh my God, that's the."
And is that Jennifer Jason Leigh?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen that yet, but I love her, and I like Kurt Russell. He's in that movie too.
Both of them are great in that movie. I
Yeah.
mean, but it's definitely, you know, and wait, Dern is in that. Bruce Dern is in that. Samuel Jackson's in it. It's a great cast.
I'm sure.
It's definitely a Quentin Tarantino film.
Right.
So yeah. Her name is Daisy Domergue in it.
Do you think that he watched The Silent Earth and was like, I've got to use that name?
I guarantee he did.
I mean,
he is so into that exploitation and drive-in movies and all that kind of stuff. I guarantee he watched it or saw it and said, I'm going to use it.
That's too funny.
And then the only other note I have is their controls are like those little Christmas tree lights that you used on silver trees. Oh,
the little wheels.
The little color wheel that turns.
I remember those with the aluminum or whatever kind of trees those were.
Aluminum trees, the little silver trees. Yeah. So
that's a 60s thing.
So this would definitely not be way up there in my list of great science fiction, but I do think it's worth a watch to see just for certain elements in it.
Yeah, I mean, Domergues and Oompa Loompas. You can't beat that.
Oompa Loompas and mutant.
Oh, I did have that Joseph M. Newman was a George Cukor protege.
Really?
And that he worked his way up. Well, considering that he knew George Cukor, that could mean more than one thing. But he was an office boy, a writer, an assistant director, and then a director. So he started as an office boy. And I don't know if that's a euphemism or not.
Office boy.
Office boy. I'm George Cukor, who was notoriously gay.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's interesting. I did not know that. But yeah, I don't know if I'm glad he worked his way up or not, but I might be. I think it was weird that the Metalunans took over the beginning of our video and repressed it. And get away from
that's
it.
What they did. They kept your finger from hitting the button.
The button. It was like I couldn't do it. Yes.
Yeah.
I was magnetized and couldn't.
I'm thinking, how am I going to piece this together for YouTube if we have? I don't know. I'll figure it out. I would like to put pictures of like the faces of those Metalunans and the monster and that.
We should use a bunch of stills from the movie itself.
Yeah, if YouTube police don't come down on me for using pictures, I don't know.
YouTube has the movie.
That's right. I had to watch it on YouTube.
So they better not. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
All right, so I guess we should wrap it up and just say, for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, sorry about the beginning video. For those of you who are listening to us, hey, you don't have to worry about that watching stuff. Listen. No. I mean, that's what we're good at anyway. Come on. But no, thank you guys for listening to us. Please like us, subscribe, join our Patreon if you so choose, but definitely review us, like us, tell your friends about us.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a short episode, but then again, it was a less than stellar
82-minute film.
Yeah, the film was only 80-something minutes.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll spend 1 minute per review, all the way through. So, but next week will be a really great one. Come back and join us, and you'll love it.
Oh yes, next week is very good.
Yes, I thought you would think so.
Awesome.
All right.
I guess that's going to do it.
I'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.